It's funny, a lot of the builders here in Adelaide are our biggest opposition and clients actually use the software, which is interesting.
Tell me more.
We build 130, 40 homes a year. We recently won HIA's CSR Home of the Year, People's Choice Award in Melbourne. Yeah, still pumping.
Have you got a background in this? Like, how did it work?
Definitely don't have a background.
So tell us a little bit more about the scar tissue that you've had to develop yourself.
Probably doing things myself. I reckon the best lesson I learned was...
How do you think you learned how to hand it over? What does success actually look like for you personally and now for like Jack App?
I think it's team and culture mainly for me.
So what's the future got for Jack App? All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to the Builders Ladder podcast. Great to have everybody back as a long-time listener. If you are here and you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure that you go like and leave us a review. If you don't like it, then leave us a review and we can try and be better. But I'm sure everybody listening along today will think that we're fantastic. I'm a great host. I'm joined by a great guest. I've got Daniel here. What is up, Daniel? How you doing?
Yeah, good on yourself. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Pumped to
so
be here.
good. Yeah, pumped to be here, 100%. Every day's a good day, right?
That's it.
Those
Sun
are
is
the-
shining here in Adelaide. So
Exactly. Nice. I'm really looking forward to this episode because it's not often I get to sort of have like a kind of like a career chat around like where people have been, where they're at today, where they're going. But full just like let's get into the meat and potatoes or the stir that stirs the straw that stirs the drink. Like you founded and have set up Jack App, right? So give us a little bit more of a background as to who you are and what you're running.
So I was a plumber originally, 17, 18 years ago now, did my trade and set up a building company, which I've had for 13 years now, a little bit more. Progressed through my career building a building business here in South Australia, which is still operating. And then, yeah, we had a lot of deficiencies in our systems and procedures and really struggled to have things linked together. And that's kind of what brought about Jack was a pain point for us. So.
And it's a pretty damn successful building company. Like, give us some of the top line and, award-winning stuff. Like, tell me more.
Yeah, so we build 130, 40 homes a year. We have a custom arm and a production arm. We recently won HIA's CSR Home of the Year, People's Choice Award in Melbourne, which is a pretty great accolade to win. Yeah, it's been a bit of a journey, but still pumping.
Hard out. So tell me, like, what made you want to get into the plumbing trade all those many moons ago?
Well, mum and dad told me I had to leave school, so it was either go get a desk job or get a trade. And I think the trade in the building industry is something I was always attracted to growing up. Parents being in it as well. So
Yeah, fair play. So building company turns tech entrepreneur. Like, I mean, what, you saw your own problem and you wanted to solve it, and then that solution was pretty damn useful, so you thought you'd commercialize it? Like, how, what's the story there?
it was probably more once I started building. I've got a lot of mates in the building industry that were suffering from the same, I guess, pain points that I was. And when we started building it internally, they kind of asked, "Hey, can I jump on board and use it as well?" And I guess that was probably an indicator to me that I wasn't just the only one that had this problem. So yeah, thought about commercializing it, and yeah, here we are today.
Yeah, so good. Like, what it was 4 years ago that you started Jack App, right?
Yeah, 4 years ago. Yeah, when we first started building it, so it was a couple of years to build the software here internally, and then yeah, another year or two of sort of refining it with some local clients. And yeah, I'd say October last year, 2024, is when we really started to hit our straps and get it out to the market.
Yeah. So like 2 years building it internally is a long time. Like we we failed trying to turn what we do as a service, coaching builders, and we've got all the systems, but we tried to build it into an ERP. It was an absolute nightmare. We wasted like 9 to 12 months throwing money into a bottomless pit. We had heap of lessons from there. We won't be repeating them. But like, what were some of the painful moments or like the journey of building it internally? Like, did you have to recruit software developers? Have you got a background in this? Like, how did it work?
I definitely don't have a background in software development, but I think the background being a builder and a project manager predominantly probably helped building software. So kind of approached it almost like building a home. We sort about drawing the plans up, which is drawing your software UI up, and then putting the engineering into the home, which engineering into the software is the user stories and the detail of how it's actually going to work, and
Mhm.
then having people review that, like getting your home certified. So there's a lot of terminologies and I guess processes from building a home that we put to building a piece of software. And obviously there was some technical stuff which we had to get other people to solve, but fundamentally planning the software out from start to finish and managing people along the way was much the same as running a building company, albeit some more complexities. But that's kind of how we approached it, and it's helped us keep on track. And I guess we can reiterate easily now that we do have the software, but it's also meant that we've gotten to a point by doing that planning and preparation properly that we've got a product that people actually want to use and works really well for them.
Yeah, so good. Who, so after 2 years of development, like who started using it? Like your own building company and then a couple of friends locally and stuff, and you're getting feedback and whatnot. Like, you know,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So my own staff, obviously, we've got 30 odd staff. So a lot of those have been in the building industry. My staff 10 plus years, so they kind of helped, I guess, formulate a lot of the ways that the software was going to work and deficiencies that they'd seen in other systems.
mhm.
So my own staff guided it a lot to start with and really drove that and listened to them. And then once it got into the hands of a few other local builders, then it was that next round of reiteration and pushing the features. So it's funny, a lot of the builders here in Adelaide are actually our opposition. Probably my five biggest opposition clients actually use the software, which is interesting. But I was kind of nervous to start with when one of them rang me up. I was like, this is a bit weird. We kind
Yeah.
of can see what's going on, but it actually was more of a sit down point with a lot of those builders. And yeah, just tomorrow I'm catching up for a beer with one of them. We're going to talk about the industry and things that we can do for the software. And even though we're pitching on work together, so it's actually brought about a bit of collaboration in the industry as well.
It's great. I mean, like, I think once we can understand, like, a rising tide lifts all boats, right? And many members join our community as well, thinking that they're in competition. And the reality is, like, they're in competition with themselves. Most people just need to actually execute, be the best versions of themselves,
100%.
follow through on things that they say they're going to do. And if they do that well, then there's plenty of work to go around. Even when
So
the
much.
times
Yeah.
are tough and you think that that's not the case, very rarely is it, like a zero-sum game. You know what I mean?
Well, I know, yeah, with that same builder, there's some processes that we've shared together to do with quality control around trades and some different systems we wanted to implement. And he told me about when we're actually onboarding him, this new thing that he'd done. And he gave me that system and we've implemented it in our company. And we've since shared a couple of things. And that's now with 4 or 5 different builders that we've done that, actually sharing processes between each other, which has helped our businesses drive, quality going forward. So
Yeah,
it's as much as being a software company, it's kind of like it's reinvigorated a bit of a spark in my own building company as well, talking to
I
other
love that.
builders all the time.
I
Yeah.
love that. So good. So I asked this question of everybody, and it's what has been the most expensive lesson that you've learned the hard way? Because, it's all rainbows and butterflies, cool, business going great, we won awards, love it, well done. But let's be real, most of the most successful builders that we see and work with are the biggest losers, and that they've got the most scar tissue. So tell us a little bit more about the scar tissue that you've had to develop yourself.
Probably doing things myself, to be honest with you. I reckon the best lesson I learnt was not thinking that you're an expert at everything and trying to, I guess, micromanage people. I used to do that with the estimating, and we had a few budget overruns early in the days when I was selling jobs. And when I actually stepped back and let my professional staff um, run those processes,
Yeah.
me putting the processes in place, but them running them, our business excelled. So it was, yeah, the biggest lesson is probably don't be a micromanager and get good people and trust them and let them flourish. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, fair play. That's good. And there's a difference. You mentioned something important there where you set the system up and then you train them on the system. So there's a difference between
exactly. Yeah,
abdicating something, just going like, hey, this is a problem. You got this. Hey, thanks very much. And abdicating it over versus delegating it over. So building a
100%.
system and then
Yeah,
training somebody to run that system.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Tell me more like where did, how do you think you learned how to hand it over? Because it doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. were you a fish to water in growing that?
Yeah, I didn't really have a mentor or a course specifically that I followed. I think it was just trial and error. Something doesn't work and you have some mistakes. You sort of sit back and go, well, why did that happen? And what can we do differently? I think reflection is definitely something that comes naturally.
Yeah.
I've probably had more mistakes than many people, but I think the biggest thing is, yeah, just having a crack, and you'll fail and you'll learn that you failed and don't do it again. And you kind of take that approach. Eventually, you get to a point where you're not failing at all and you're excelling.
So good. Yeah, nice. So what does the opposite of failing, like what does success actually look like for you personally and now for like Jack App and for your building company? Like I'm interested to know like how you define success across all these different aspects of life and business.
I think it's team and culture mainly for me. Some of the younger staff that I had start with me 7, 8 years ago, seeing them flourish now and kind of building their careers is probably the most satisfying. It's like a community for me. It's my social life, my business, and my work. I love it. I love coming to work every day with everyone.
Yeah, so good. So like what's some of the stuff that you reckon sets your, community, your culture, your team apart then? Like how do you build that? How do you develop that sort of like camaraderie, that team?
I think the first one is if people have ideas to improve, and want to implement change to better the business, empower them to do it,
Mhm.
whether it be through more time or more pay or redoing your structures. Sort of just letting people grow, I think, has been the
Mhm.
biggest thing, because everyone wants an opportunity. If you're an employee, your biggest asset is your career, and if you can't see your asset increase, which is your career, then I think then staff become stale. So yeah, just
Yeah.
trying to always let people better themselves. Sometimes it's at the cost of the company financially, but I feel as in the long term, that's been a big part of growth.
Yeah. We talk a lot about making sure that, to hold on and to retain some of like the best team members, you got to make sure that their vision or their goal can be achieved with inside of your vision of the company. So your goals and vision needs to be big enough that it can sit other people's in there. And so they're able to kind of, actually get their goals achieved inside of the broader one that you're trying to work towards. So, you know, having a building company that's doing 70 mil plus or 100 odd homes over the course of its sort of like history, and then having a big software company that's entering the US and doing other things like that, you're able to sort of have other people's visions and goals sort of achieved within that, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've had a couple of staff leave over the years that sit outside that vision, that want to go and start their own businesses. And I mean, unless you can give them a slice of the pie at the time, then that's pretty
Yeah.
hard to do, obviously. So we do. I have had one of our longest standing staff members become a partner of my building company,
Mhm.
our construction manager, which was, yeah, one of the best moves I ever made. He's kind of the general manager of the company now, and I've been able to step back. So um, aside from that, yeah, definitely been able to find a place for people to grow within the company as a majority.
Nice. And like, how did you? Because a lot of our members sometimes get to the point where they set up second locations or they're structuring a buy-in with key long-term staff as well. Like what? How did you go through that decision making of like no to some other people and yes to this person? Like, because it's sometimes it's hard to decide, right?
I think it's timing as well, for some staff. Like if they come at the right time at the start of the business, then they get those opportunities. And then there could be people down the track after that that probably could have warranted that buy-in, but it's too far down the track. So
Mm.
I guess timing does come into it, and then yeah, just picking the right people and entrusting them and entrenching them and making sure that they're going to be there for the long term. You're going to get multiple people like that, and you can't do the same for everyone, as there's nothing left for yourself. But yeah.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, so good. So tell me, like, what is the sort of structure of your team? Like, who have you got? How do you decide on who to bring on next and how to build your team? Because, like, do you opt for contractors, employees? I'm talking probably building, and I'm interested in both building and the software, honestly, how you do it all.
Um, for the building side of things, it's kind of we have our divisions. So we're a design and construct builder.
Mhm.
We have a design team, so architects in house. When we decide that we need them, it's kind of looking forward at capacity. Like we know what they have to do to get the output that we need, And then we'll look at, okay, we've got X amount coming for the next 12 months. Do we want to increase on that? Yes. We generally know we have to hire sort of 6 or 12 months before to get that wheel turning. That's kind of how we look at it in the building company. In the
Yep.
software realm, it's just all customer service. If we have metrics that we track, how quickly we get back to people, how many people we can onboard a month for their account managers, and if we're getting more clients than we can do, then when we hire more people, which
Yeah.
at the moment is a lot.
Yeah. Because you guys are growing really, really successfully and really effectively. Like, what's it looking like at the moment? Like, you bring on somebody new every week, every day, like, in terms of
Uh,
your team, like, how do you choose and do all that?
Yeah, so far it's been a new staff member every couple of weeks. So probably my main thing in the company is just training and implementation of new staff and getting the systems right for them so that they can provide that gold standard support for the builders. So most of the people we get in here are from the building industry, whether they come from a project management or an admin background. They've got a broad understanding of how generally a building company would work, and
Yeah.
that's probably been a big part of getting people on quickly is that they actually know what builders want, because builders gonna the sniff test pretty quick if you ask them what a footing beam is, and they don't know. The builder's gonna be onto it. So that's probably been a big part of scaling the staff quickly, is getting those industry people.
Yeah, so good. We have a phrase that we've stolen from the Netflix No Rules Rules book. Great book on growing a team, building a culture and stuff. And it's about talent density. And we always want to, like, anytime we're recruiting or hiring somebody, we want to ask questions like, is this person going to fall in the top 10% of existing team members in terms of their talent and their if you line them up and do the keeper test, like we had to fire everybody and rehire them, would this person fit in that top 10% of rehires? If the answer is like yes, then they should probably join the team. If the answer is no, then we should probably keep fishing and keep trying to find top tier talent, because we're just trying to get talent density across the entire company. So, because
Yeah, it makes so much sense. Yeah,
yeah, totally. And
love
Netflix is a
that
bigger business than ours, so they've probably got something worthwhile to listen to, right?
for sure. They've done pretty well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I'm always interested in this because one of the reasons that our attempt at a software failed miserably, we threw it to the side and decided to stay in our lane and just focus on what we're absolutely best at, was we were doing a bit of like doing all this sort of stuff. And I understand that one of the big lessons that you've gone through in growing both the building company and the software company is that it's hard to say no to new ideas. Like, how do you decide which features get added? How do you decide what to say no to? Is it like a values-based thing? Is it like a numbers and spreadsheet-based thing? Like, how do you decide that?
It's a bit of both. I think probably it ultimately comes down to the weighting impact for the builder. So one of the things we're just about to release is a safety management system, which is basically end-to-end safety management. And
Mhm.
when we were looking at that, as opposed to say 20 minor features, what was the impact for the builder? And the impact for the builder with the safety is they were going to save $400-500 a month moving from another system, and the efficiency that they had for that safety in house. So it was an easy decision to make. Whereas it's like, hey, I'd love to have this filter here and this button there and that. But when you took it back to the fundamentals, the safety feature that we're building at the moment was the biggest impact for our clients.
Mm,
So it's definitely that impact on the day-to-day operations of the builder and the finances of the builder. Ultimately, that's kind of what Jack's bread and butter is. We want them to just have one system, and if we're always sort of striving towards that, then that's a good flag for us to make a decision.
yeah, I love it. Yeah. We work with our members through what's called an ICE filter. So I stands for impact. Are you familiar with ICE filter?
No, never heard of it.
No, so I stands for impact, and that's normally an impact on margin, so profit, ideally, and time of the owner.
Okay.
We'd rank it out of 10, sort of thing. So, one, it has fucking zero impact, and 10, it's got a monster impact. C is certainty or conviction, right? So, are you confident that this is going to work? And obviously, like, if you don't think it's going to work, it's probably not going to work. But almost all things will work if you're confident about it. But what's your confidence in pulling this off, basically? Again, one, not a hope in hell. 10, piece of cake. I reckon our team skill set or my skill set is well suited to implementing this thing, right?
Yeah.
And then E. stands for ease of execution. Is it like what's called a stroke of the pen decision? Like, do you just need to reshuffle some papers, change the contract, or do whatever to make this change? Or is it going to be like a full 12-month build out of like a fucking website and all this other crap that goes with it? So we rank each of these out of 10, and if it's 10, 10, 10, it's pretty high score on the ice filter. We should probably do it. If it's 5, 3, 5, and it's 13 out of 30, then it's pretty low. Like, we probably don't need to do that. And it's a good way to sort of order and rank when you've got 5 or 6 competing priorities. Which one should I do first? Impact on margin or profit and time of the owner. C, certainty, confidence. Will this work in my situation? And then E, ease of execution. Is it kind of like a
Yeah,
5 minute
nice.
thing, or is it a five
I love
week?
that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
great.
nice to, because normally we have got a gut feel of shit, but if we don't sometimes like rank them or stack them or actually have a bit of a more quantitative approach to how we decide this stuff, then we're often shooting from the hip. And it's not a hard science, but it's a nice way to sort of like think about stuff, right?
Yeah, if you've always got something to come back to for that sanity check, it's a lot easier. Yeah, we have something similar with our features. It's like an impact rating, and then they basically the higher they rate, the higher they go up the list. And it's funny, you start to see patterns pretty quick for stuff that you should be hitting. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
nice.
So with so much stuff going on, like, have there been any moments in the history of Jack App and stuff where you've thought about giving up or, not continuing? Because like we saw the positive and great stuff that you guys are doing. It looks like you're going from strength to strength, and I want to understand where you're going over the next 12 months. I'm keen to sort of hear that. But it's not always rainbows and butterflies. Like here at the Professional Builder, we've gone through some really challenging seasons ourselves, and we've shared those stories a few times on the podcast. But tell me, like, what about for you guys? Like, when have been more challenging seasons, and what's kept you guys going?
Probably at the start when we first started, not having any software experience whatsoever, trying to put that team together to build a good solution. Um, it was funny when we went through the process and we were trying to put the team together, making decisions that were probably going to double your cost of the product was a hard decision to eat.
Do you mean
And
like your overhead or the cost to the consumer?
my overhead, yeah.
Yeah,
So the
sure.
actual engineers, you can get engineers overseas for very cheap. And it's very tempting when you're first starting out building a company.
Yeah.
But we kind of yeah, it was hard to make that decision, and we had to find a lot more capital. But we ended up doing it locally here in Adelaide
Mhm.
with a team. So that was probably the hardest road we went through to make sure that financially we could get through that period and build a proper solution. And I'm glad we did it because the product's quality is just it's so good, right? And that's because we got a proper team here that we could communicate with every day, tap someone on the shoulder, and talk about a problem and a solution. And yeah, I hope that the users that use it can really see that quality when they experience Jack.
Yeah, so good. I mean, because you guys are, correct me if I'm wrong, but are you funded? Like, you funding this whole thing out of your own pocket, or
Yeah, yeah,
yeah? So those decisions on big overhead commitments are huge, right? So,
yeah. It's some big numbers. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
100%. And for everyone following along at home, break even's a pretty back and napkin equation that everybody should be using or understanding at least, and it's overhead divided by margin, right? So for anybody doing a new construction or renovation or remodel or whatever, if you let's assume your overhead's sort of $500,000, like we can all follow along this at home. So overhead would be, phone bill, insurances, people off the tools, so project manager, office manager, sales rep, your salary as the business owner off the tools. So if we used an assumption of $500,000 of overhead and we divide that by 20% margin, divided by 0.2, then break even is going to be $2.5 million. And in software, in construction, that's kind of like, okay, sweet, that's $2.5 million builds. I could reckon we could get to that pretty easily, sort of thing, in terms of a revenue number. But in software, where we're selling, $20 to $2,000 a month, yeah, it's a lot of sales to be done. I imagine that's kind of stressful every now and then, sort of thing.
It was to start with, but the product's got so much momentum now. We're surpassing that point. So
Love it.
um, it's kind of the most stressful part now is just making sure that we keep the team in place to keep the level gold standard of service. I think
Yeah.
and training people quick enough to make sure we keep up with our builders and our clients' expectations.
Yeah.
So we're turning the tap on and off to make sure we keep that at an even kilter. We don't want to bring too many people on so that we lose that. And yeah, that's kind of the challenge at the moment, is keeping that at a good level.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. We're a service-based business ourselves as a coaching company, and the book that all of our team in the member success department read and are trained on when they join us is one called Unreasonable Hospitality. And have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
It's a great book. It's about a restaurant on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, and about how they went from 15th in the world to first in the world. And what they did is they basically subscribed to the concept of unreasonable hospitality. And there's a couple of really good examples in there. A few that I love was one of the wait staff overheard the table talking about how they hadn't, it was their last night in New York and they still hadn't had a classic New York hot dog, right? So what they did is they ran up onto the street, grabbed a New York hot dog out of the from one of the street vendors, brought it down, and then served it to them. And it was on the house, and it was just something that they did to make sure they got the experience of a classic New York hot dog. Or another example was they overheard people complaining that, we left the champagne in the fridge, in the freezer back at the hotel, so it's not going to be any good by the time they get home after dinner, sort of thing. So what they did is they found out where they were staying, they rang the hotel, and they got somebody to take it out of the freezer for them, so that when they got there, they were able to enjoy it. And it's just those aspects, like as we're growing and scaling a company, how do we hold on to that unreasonable level of hospitality, which is really easy to do. And when we're like total got like 5, 10, 25, 35 customers, but very hard to do at scale, but ultimately is the thing that separates us from 15th place and first place. So, I totally get what
Yeah,
you're talking about limiting and working out how you grow the team correctly.
and I think builders, any more so than any industry, understand that because they're dealing with probably unrealistic expectations from clients on a daily basis. So,
100%, right?
builders have to bend over backwards on so many things on so many occasions, and they really appreciate you going the extra mile and doing that extra for clients. We had one instance where we had a builder send us through 1,000 assemblies, and it took us 2 weeks with one person just to enter these assemblies for him. But you know what? No one whinged about it. It was just like, hey, we need to just get it done. Let's all pitch in, and we had someone do it. And he's over the moon now. He's got this estimating system set up so minute. Whereas if he went with another one of our competitors, he just wouldn't have got it done, and he probably never would end up using it. So just trying to make sure we go above and beyond for our clients is, yeah,
Yeah.
I love that thought process. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, great book. Everyone should download the audiobook and get through it if they're not readers. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality. It's an
nice.
excellent one for anybody that's kind of in the game that we're all in, right? Like dealing with clients, helping them succeed, building great businesses. And some
Yeah,
of it's science, like what system, what process, what margin, what cash flow cycle, all that. And some of it's art. Like, no, guys, like we're here to help, here to serve, and here to get people a phenomenal result. Sometimes that requires a little bit of like
initiative.
fucking
Mm.
initiative, right?
For
Totally.
sure.
So, what's the future got for Jack App? Like, you guys want to tear? What's next? Where are you going? Like, what are you most excited about?
So the US is our next expansion. The Australian base is ticking along nicely, and then yeah, we'll be heading over to the US in January 2026. So moving
So,
myself and my family over there to set up a local base, and the other founder Liam is staying in Australia to run the Australian division.
mm,
That's a really big move for us, but I think it's going to be a good one. Every builder around the world should be using Jack. So
yeah, so good. I love it, man. Great ambition. And we just got back from our tour of Texas, and I think you'll love it. It's a great spot. It's all bigger in Texas. There's
I'm
great
sure, yeah,
barbecue though, and everybody's incredibly friendly. Southern hospitality was off the charts. We loved it.
yeah, keen to experience it.
Yeah, so good. So before we wrap up, anybody you'd like to thank? Like it's a big journey. Business ownership is tough and sometimes lonely, but often we get some great support from people. Like anybody that you want to thank for the help and support of your journey so far?
But my team, like the building team, helped drive a lot of I guess, the creation of Jack, and then the team here at Jack that has actually built it and the day-to-day operations. Liam, the founder, He's been instrumental along the way. He's a numbers and nuts and bolts man. So very thankful to have him on board.
Yeah, so good. We often need that. Otherwise we're pissing into the wind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. Awesome. Well, uh, Daniel, where can people find you? What should they do if they've listened to this and they thought, keen to learn more?
So our website, jackapp.io. If you go onto the website, you can book a demo or sign up for a free trial. Any one of our account managers will generally do one within a couple of days for you. So yeah, book a free trial, book a demo, and someone will help you out.
Happy days. Awesome. Well, appreciate your time, Daniel. Thanks very
Thanks,
much.
Owen. Appreciate
Take
it.
care.
See ya.